Blackpool Pleasure Beach is a fantastic amusement park with a rich heritage of rides ranging right the way back to 125 years, all the way up to modern coasters that are only 5 years old. It has a great range of dark rides, of flat rides, of wooden coasters, steel coasters. It just has everything, and it's such a compact site, so easy to get around. Here's my top 10. At number 10 we have Alice in Wonderland. This is a very old attraction. It's one of the few attractions that is actually officially allowed by Disney, because Jeffrey Thompson, who ran the park at the time, had a great relationship with Walt Disney. So you will see the odd kind of travelling ride that is Disney themed, but they're kind of, you know, not allowed, not supposed to. This one, Disney don't care, they're quite happy with it. Interestingly, I put a POV up of this earlier in the year, and a lot of people pointed out that the music for this is I've Won a Golden Ticket, which is a little strange, but it's a classic dark ride. It's been there. God, I've got pictures of me on it when I was about 6 years old. That was a long time ago. So there you go, that is my number 10. At number 9, I'm sticking with flat rides here. When you enter the park, you've obviously got Ice Blast, currently. Check that video out there, because that might be disappearing soon. But when you get past Ice Blast and you get past the flying machines, you get Derby Racers, which is a rather interesting horse ride, carousel, merry-go-round kind of thing. Again, got a lot of heritage in there, it's been there for a long time. It used to move back and forward as well as up and down. There was a behind-the-scenes tour as part of the club event this year, and they kind of explained that, you know, that mechanism is really complicated. They've turned that off as, you know, the maintenance is too much, but it is still a classic ride. It feels a lot faster than it is, and obviously if you're on the outside rather than the inside, it will be faster because it's going a larger circumference. But a great ride, and one I always go on when I visit the park. Number 8 I've already mentioned, and again that is when you enter the park you have the flying machines. Now these are, I think there's only 1 or 2 of these left. They've been around for ages. They were originally on the beach. Those of you that maybe don't know, Blackpool Pleasure Beach is called that because it literally was on the sand, and, you know, well, they built around it and it's not anymore. So this ride is super old. It is a bit of a classic. If you go into the Kiss Me Quick shop underneath, you can see the mechanism, like they've put a window in so you can actually watch the mechanism as it's going round. Interestingly, I don't believe, or I do believe, that it has no brakes. They literally just turn the mechanism off and let it, inertia, do its thing and come into a halt. But a great ride, you know, great views. If it's a cold day, it's bloody freezing on that thing. But another ride I always enjoy going on when I go to Blackpool. I promise there are coasters on this list, but I do have yet another flat ride in my list. Number 7 is Airbender over in Nickelodeon Land. Now, fairly standard roller disco ride, although I would say of all the ones I have done, this is by far the best. A lot of them have got that weird hump in the middle, which I tend to think kind of screws it up. This one's just a classic kind of half pipe, and probably one of the most forceful cycles of any of the ones I've been on so far. So I always enjoy going on this one. It's always great to see some people's like stomach going bananas when they kind of do the spins. I tend to go no hands, no feet, and just yay. So another one on my list. We have a coaster. Okay, so number 6 for me is a ride that I talked about recently because there were some rumblings that this one also could be up for the chop, and that is Avalanche. This is a Mack Rides bobsled. It's been in the park for quite some time. I think there was some time with Eddie the Eagle when it first was kind of launched. It's been interesting this year, so I know there's some rumours about it potentially going. They did put a new entrance in this year, so that kind of, why would they do that if they were getting rid of it? But it's only been running on one train every time I've been there and every time somebody else has seen it, so there is that question mark of, is there some issue with parts, etc. Nonetheless, I do love the ride. I love pulling stupid faces on that. Just a fun ride. Okay guys, that is us halfway through the list now. If you're enjoying this, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and let me know down below what you think of my list. And number 5, moving back over towards Nickelodeon Land again. This time we have Nickelodeon Streak. This is another classic wooden coaster, was known as just roller coaster in previous incarnation. The trains have changed many times. Interestingly, this did not have restraints until maybe 10 years ago, something like that. Fairly recent, which just seems bonkers by today's standards, but it did not have any restraints. It is of course this bright orange wooden track to fit in with Nickelodeon. and it is just, of all the Woodies in Blackpool, this to me is the least rough, the least intense, I guess, as well, right? It's the kind of family kiddie style one. Oh, there's a blue flyer, but this is smooth. There's a little bit of kind of roughness to it, but nothing that you wouldn't expect from a Woody. I absolutely love this ride. At number 4, we have an aerodynamics ride. I think this was the first or one of the first inversions in Europe, and that is Revolution, which went through a phase to be known as Iron Brew Revolution, in which it was kind of blue and orange coloured. It is just Revolution these days. Although interestingly, I think last closed season they were doing some maintenance on the sign, and the old Iron Brew sign is still behind there. I'd love to come back to being Iron Brew. I'm Scottish, I love Iron Brew, but nonetheless, fantastic ride. That inversion backwards is significantly more intense than that inversion forwards, and I genuinely think they should take the picture on the way back. They take the picture on the way forward, but nonetheless, fantastic ride. At number 3, go back to the dark rides again. This one is, some people weren't happy that this replaced Goldmine. I was on the Goldmine as a kid, don't remember it very much. Again, pictures of me as a little nipper in front of that thing. But that is, of course, Wallace and Gromit. An amazing dark ride, and it's interesting that, you know, you look at something like Valhalla that's had a lot of issues and reliability maintenance. Wallace and Gromit just seems to chug along quite fine. All the effects seem to work all the time. Smell pods, yeah, I've noticed more of those lately, the bread smell, etc. Just fantastic. And number 2, one of the big guys, that is the big one. This ride is kind of divisive. I know some people love it, some people aren't a fan. Some people think after that first drop, I've heard it referred to as a monorail. It's probably a little bit extreme. Obviously Blackpool is doing everything they can to maintain this ride. You know, they have been replacing pieces of the track every winter season for the last 3 or 4 years, doing it again this year. You know, when I was on the Walk the Woody, they did say they want to preserve it for another 20, 25, 30 years. And so it's not going anywhere. It will, however, no longer be the tallest ride in Europe. Not in Europe. It will, however, no longer be the tallest ride in the UK as of next season, because Hyperia in Thorpe Park will take that crown. Nonetheless, it is a fantastic ride. Number 2 on my list. Okay, so that only leaves 1 spot left, and it'll be absolutely no surprise to anybody what this is. I'm sure it's number 1 for many of you watching this. That is, of course, Icon, Blackpool's newest ride, the Mack double launch coaster. To be honest, it's probably my favourite coaster in the UK. Currently, that may change when they launch the Mack coaster down in Thorpe Park, but right now it is my top coaster in the UK. Absolutely love that ride. Enzo's fantastic, bit pricey, but definitely a great experience. Try it once, certainly not something I do frequently, but I have been on it 2 or 3 times. Just love that ride. Do all sorts of crazy things. Pull stupid faces as always on the launch. And little tip, if you have been on that ride many times, try going around with your eyes closed. See if you can tell where you are. Definitely feels a lot faster when you do that. Anyway guys, that has been my top 10 in Blackpool. I'd love to hear down below what your top 10 is, which ones you agree with, which ones you disagree with, any I've missed off this list that you would put on there. I've been Chris, you've been watching Coaster Dad. I'll see you in the next one.